Well, you guys, it finally happened. Bo Katan has reclaimed the Darksaber. And then the rest of this episode kind of happened. If that isn't the quackta calling the stifling slimy. Does anyone actually know what that means, by the way? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. I'm Ryan Brower, and today we are here to talk about the Mandalorian Chapter 22, Guns for Hire. Is this also the first time the word "the" is not in the title of an episode in this show? Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and if we do that, we will do a watch party live stream of an entire Star Wars trilogy. I want to thank everybody for subscribing to Top 10 Character Moments as well. We reached over 100 subscribers the other day. We are so close to reaching my first subscriber goal on this channel, and that's 150 subscribers. So if you guys could go over there as well, link will be in the description below. Subscribe there. It's free and it really helps support me as a content creator. Thank you guys. I've been enjoying The Mandalorian, you guys. I think it's been a great show, and I've really been enjoying a lot of the episodes in this show. However, that being said, this was probably one of the first episodes of the show that I really didn't enjoy. And man, the way they set up the intro to this episode, like with the Imperial Light Cruiser, and it had me intrigued, like, oh, wait a minute, are we going to see Moff Gideon now? But no, it was the stolen Imperial Light Cruiser that used to be owned by Moff Gideon, now with the Mandalorians, and then we see frickin' Axe Woves and Casca Reeves. I couldn't believe Casca Reeves was there. You know, Mercedes MONÉ, formerly known as Sasha Banks, current IWGP Women's Champion for New Japan. I love Sasha Banks so much. I'm so glad they have her back in the show. She didn't say anything though, so I don't know, maybe they just took shots of her from the previous season and were just like, oh, we'll insert her here. Because yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know if she had a single line in this episode, but you know what, it's okay. You put Mercedes in this show and you don't give her a line, well, if that isn't the quackta calling the stiffly slimy, seriously, what does that mean? But the first 5 minutes of this episode, brilliant. I loved it. And then like the rest of this episode happened and I was like, oh, this isn't where I thought we were going. Like, we had all these Mandalorians, and now we're just going on basically this murder mystery. And it's like Din and Bo go to all these different people on this planet. I don't know what the planet was called. It looked nice, though. But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, there were battle droids, and yeah, Jack Black was there, which was kind of cool, but like, it just felt like nothing of substance really happened, you know? Like, it's not filler because the story did progress, but this was like the first episode, besides maybe the spider episode, where I really felt bored while watching it. It was nice seeing Matthew Wood back to voice the battle droids. Then we also get to hear about nano droids, which I believe is the first time that we've heard about nano droids since Clone Wars Season 5, when they were used to blow up the Jedi Temple. So I thought it was cool that we got to see that make a comeback. But yeah, guys, for the majority of this episode, it was very much like a murder mystery type episode and stuff like that. You guys, like, all right, who did it? Like, that stuff always kind of bores me. Tales of the Jedi, the episode with Count Dooku and Mace Windu was probably like my least favorite episode. Like, I still enjoyed it, but it was like, a lot of times, guys, when it comes to like the murder mystery type stuff, I feel like it just isn't really my style. I think the only time, I'm trying to just think back of what times where I feel like it has worked in Star Wars for me. Like, I think Obi-Wan on Kamino, like, that was fine. But maybe that was just because, like, the Anakin and Padme stuff was, you know, whatever. And it's like, all right, I need something else. And that's why I got Obi-Wan. There were a couple different references in this episode. We got references to Quill when they meet the Ugnaughts, and Din saying, I have spoken, which is pretty cool. We get a reference to Count Dooku because the dude that ends up like betraying everybody is actually like was loyal to the Separatists, and talked about how like Count Dooku was a visionary. And I love how Bo shot him. She's just like, politics. So yeah, I really didn't care about this episode too much, you guys. I didn't really care about the story. And then the final, like, 10 minutes happened of this episode. And this is the part that prevents it from being my least favorite episode. Because I did think about it. I'm like, do I hate this one more than the spider episode? And I didn't even hate the spider episode. It was just for a while I felt bored by it. I don't even want to think about spiders anymore. It creeps me out. But at least with this one, the Bo versus Axe fight was so good. Like, this part of the episode I really enjoyed, the battle between the two of them. And it was basically like, I challenge you one warrior to another. I was kind of sitting there like, is she gonna say the full thing that Maul said, where he's like, I challenge you one warrior to another, and only the strongest shall rule Mandalore.
I challenge you. One warrior to another, and only the strongest shall rule Mandalore.
But I guess that wouldn't have made sense because Din still has the Darksaber. Oh, but wait, he doesn't have the Darksaber anymore because Bo beat Axe. And Axe is like, well, we're not going to follow you because you don't have the Darksaber. You're too weak to go and face him. They're talking about like he's not even a real Mandalorian. And Bo, to her credit, sticks up for him and says that he took the creed. He was brought in as a child. He is one of us. But I thought it was cool that like we got to see the different philosophies between Mandalorians. And this is where I do worry whether or not this whole plan to retake Mandalore is going to work. Because Mandalorians, like we've seen all the different philosophies of like, oh, you must wear your helmet, and because of the creed, you must wear it forever. And then you have all these other Mandalorians over here that don't wear their helmets and don't follow the stuff that the other ones follow. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, is this actually going to work? We've seen time and time again that Mandalorians will fight each other. So if they can just, you guys, put their differences aside, unite under one Mandalorian, it could work. But as we've seen, I think there's a lot of different factors at play here. For example, who sprung Moff Gideon? Because right now it's looking like Mandalorians did that. So which Mandalorians did do that? And I was having a discussion with my brother the other day, you guys, and I said, what if Moff Gideon is a Mandalorian? And that's why there are Mandalorians that are loyal to him. That's why he had the Darksaber to begin with, is because Moff Gideon is a Mandalorian. And speaking of Moff Gideon, I really thought we were going to get him in this episode too. Kind of disappointed that we didn't, but whatever. But yeah, after Bo gets done putting over Din, Din's like, all right, now the Darksaber belongs to you. And I'm like, okay, Din, we've been down this road before. She's not going to take it. And then Din brings up a really good point. He said, I got captured. Like, I got beaten and captured. And the person who did that ended up getting defeated by Bo Katan. So would the saber not technically belong to her? And they all kind of sit there like, you know, kind of like, yeah, you know, he's got a point. So Bo ends up taking the Darksaber. And I want to feel happy about this because I love Bo Katan. She's an amazing character, but I still don't trust her. Something's off about this whole thing, you guys. Like, just the way that we get her at the start of the first episode of this season. Like, even at the end of last season, she felt different as well, like with Din taking the saber and her getting really mad about that. And then this episode, in the first episode of season 3, she felt like a whole different person. And then the second episode, it was the whole let's end him once and for all. So I don't know, you guys. I still, as much as I want to trust her, I don't know. But then at the same time, you guys, like I sit there and think like, okay, well, she did want to defeat Din for the saber. And that was my whole thing of why she was mad at him. But now that she technically has the saber, would she technically be mad at him anymore? I don't know. Right now, things are looking upward for Bo Katan, right? She's got her forces back, she's got her fleet back, and she's got the Darksaber back. She can unite all Mandalorians together. There is a glooming factor with Moff Gideon still in there, and maybe we'll get to see Bo and Moff fight each other again. Maybe we'll get a backstory scene on how Bo lost the Darksaber the first time around. The other thing I want to talk about real quickly, you guys, is our little green friend Grogu. I'm trying to stay optimistic as far as like, because I know there's been talks. Kathleen wanted Grogu back in The Mandalorian. And I'm trying to stay positive here when it comes to this and trying to be like, all right, this is why he's here. But like, if we're really thinking about it, you guys, like, let's be honest with ourselves. Grogu really hasn't done much this season. So was there ever really a point to bringing him back? Like, why couldn't you have had him training with Luke? The only, like, notable things I can think about that Grogu has done so far is saving Din Djarin in the second episode, right, where he goes back to get Bo Katan. Like, I get that. And then the other scene was with the flashback to Order 66, which you could have easily done with Luke because you've done that once before. I don't know, you guys. We'll see how it plays out in the final 2 episodes, but right now, you guys, I'm still thinking, like, you still could have had Grogu in this show, but he probably should have been with Luke. And the whole idea of, like, well, if we don't have Grogu on screen, we're not going to generate viewership and money and all this other stuff. But it's kind of ironic because from stuff that I've heard, Mando Season 3 is like the least viewed of all the seasons so far. But it goes back again, like the people that are running the show now, it's not people who are fans, it's not people that are nerds. I mean, obviously Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are there, but like I'm talking like the people at the very, very top, right? They're not people who are fans of the franchises and stuff. It's people that are in suits. It's businessmen who think that they know what's best for the story of like, well, we need to have Grogu here because that's what's going to generate us money. And what these people fail to understand is that good stories will generate money. We'll see what happens with Grogu in the final 2 episodes. Maybe something good will happen for him, but right now, you guys, I just feel like he hasn't done as much, and he doesn't have to either. Like, I know there's been other episodes of The Mandalorian where, you know, he obviously hasn't done much, but I feel like with Grogu, the way that he was sort of progressing at like the end of season 2 of Mandalorian and into Book of Boba Fett, and I just felt like we're setting up some crazy stuff with Grogu, you guys, but like, you know, I'd like to see more from our little guy. Now, I could see an argument being of, well, we don't want to keep cutting away from what Mando is doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to make this show all about Grogu and Luke Skywalker, and I understand that. But you couldn't have had like a few scenes here and there because this is the argument, right? Like, you only do it then for a few episodes, but then in their minds it's, well, we don't want him in a few episodes, we want him in all the episodes. But see, in my opinion, if it doesn't serve the story properly, then don't do it. And like I said, you guys, I'm like 90% certain that bringing Grogu back was a Kathleen decision. All right, I'm done talking about this now, you guys. I really didn't like this episode, you guys. I really didn't. And like I said, Bo Katan, that final 10 minutes or whatever, that was cool. The opening 5 minutes, that was cool. Seeing Jack Black was cool. So I'm trying to find the positives where I can find them. But yeah, you guys, I think that's gonna wrap us up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
This is the way.
This is the way.